So I've been off sugar now for 7 days, an entire week. So how am I feeling? Well, I'm going to get to that in a moment, but first I'm going to talk about the title of this video, which is it ever too late or to really try to get healthy? I think about that as I get older because when I was younger, I keep thinking, oh, well, I've got plenty of time left in my life and I should try to get healthy. Well, I'm creeping up there. I'm in my later 60s now. But no, I don't feel like in most cases it is ever too late. I think the only disclaimer I would give is if you're someone who literally has a terminal illness and you're going to be dying 3 or 6 months, then probably you should just do what you want to do for the last months of your life. Now, of course, that being said, none of us know how long we've got to live. So, you could be giving up sugar in this case, right? And then, you get hit by a bus in 3 days and then you had to do without sugar in all that time. So, yeah, I know there's all sorts of arguments to be made here. But generally, I think it's never too late. I think it's always, in my case, it was about, I feel better when I'm not eating sugar. I do. I feel better physically. I have more energy. I just feel younger overall. I just feel better. Plus, it allows me to lose weight, which also makes me feel better. So, for me, it's a no-brainer. But, everyone has to come to their own conclusion. But to me, sugar is the culprit. Now, some people may not agree with me. They think, oh, sugar's like the best thing in the world. Well, yeah, it's deliciousness, but it's also poison to your system. Yeah, it's delicious, it's beautiful, it makes it just makes life sweeter, literally. No pun intended. But it does. And the problem is that that's very wonderful poison. And I know it's poison because of something that happened years ago. When I was in my 20s, is the first time I gave up sugar. And that's probably the longest I've been without sugar. I think I was off it for about 4 years. And what prompted that is I was having a lot of weird, health problems, and the doctors couldn't figure out what it was and all that. And so I gave up sugar. And it was also because when my son was little, I didn't want him exposed to sugar. So I literally kept sugar away from him from the first 5 years of his life. So most of that time I had given up sugar as well. Well, we had actually it was a family member that was a chiropractor who really believed in, this was way back in the 80s, early 80s. And he believed very much in kind of wellness. And, at that time, they were more progressive ideas. Now I think they're pretty mainstream. But anyway, one of his things was that sugar really was a poison. And he tested that with me one day. He didn't actually tell me in advance what it was, but he did something called muscle testing. Some of you may be familiar with this. And in muscle testing, what happens is, you have your eyes closed, a blindfold or whatever over your eyes, and somebody lays something on your palm. You put your palm out like this. They lay something on your palm, so you can't really tell what it is. It's just laying there. And then they test your muscle strength on your other arm to see if you can keep your arm up if they're pushing down on it. That's basically how it works. Well, this time he came over to see my husband and I, and he basically did a muscle test on me with various things. It wasn't just sugar. But the weakest I was when he put a sugar cube in my hand, and then I put my arm up and he pushed down on it, and I had no strength at all. And I didn't know it was a sugar cube. I had no idea in advance it was. And I had some weakness to some other things too. I don't remember what those were, but the sugar was the most dramatic. And I remember that so clearly. And, that stuck in my head, because even though I went back to sugar after a few years, and, when I didn't have a weight problem until I was like 36 years old. And so I was able to eat sugar. I see now in retrospect that it still was kind of poison to my system. Maybe it didn't make me gain weight back then, but it certainly wasn't good for me. So I've always believed that, but it's very hard because I have a long attachment to sugar. I think I talked about this in an earlier video. which was that when I was a young child, I was really sickly with a lot of lung problems. I was born with pneumonia and stuff like that. And my parents, I actually have a clear memory of this, of my parents when I was really young and in and out of the hospital and whatever, they would give me chocolate. And they said, this is to make you feel better. And they specifically said it like that. This is to make you feel better. Well, oh my gosh, did that do an imprint in my brain? And so for all my life up till now, I really believe psychologically that somehow chocolate will make me feel better. So when something upsetting happens, or I'm going through a tough time mentally, I think, oh, I just need some chocolate. And of course, in the moment when I eat the chocolate, it does make me feel better, but it doesn't make me feel better for very long, like, a couple minutes. And after that, it's gone. And then, what did I just put in my system? So, of course, when I was a young kid, nobody really thought that it was so bad for you and all this other stuff. Well, anyway, that's the imprint that was made in my brain, though. And that's why I've struggled with it my whole life. It's not just the physical addiction to sugar, which we do get. It's the psychological for me. And so when you're going off sugar, when you're trying to get healthier, it's a two-step process. You have to get over the physical part of the addiction, which I'm still doing to some degree. I think a lot of the physical addiction isn't really over for about 2 or 3 weeks. I think you're with the withdrawal in a few days, but after that, your body still kind of craves it. So after that first 2 or 3 weeks, then you deal with the psychological addiction of it. And that's the real problem, is dealing with the psychological. And so that's what I'll deal with for probably another month after that, at least. And then it'll get easier. It'll get much easier. I won't even be thinking about, oh, I need a dessert, or I need something sweet, or I need something when I'm upset, or whatever. And I can choose something healthier, like an apple or some carrots or something like that. So there is a two-step to this. So how am I doing right now? Well, it's been 7 days. I'm through, I think, the worst of the withdrawal. I still have moments during the day when my body is really craving that sweetness. But I haven't given into it yet, and I just take it. It's like any addiction. I just take it one day at a time and say, I don't need it today. And that kind of helps me deal with it. The mental thing will be, like I said just a minute ago, it'll be a lot tougher. It's going to take me probably another few weeks to really overcome that, but it does get easier after that. And the thing is my intention, so what's my plan basically? My intention is to stay off sugar this year until about a week before Christmas. I do give myself a dispensation for about a week at Christmas to have treats and stuff like that. But I'm only allowed that for a week because that is generally not long enough for me to get totally into it again. And that I did that too a year and a half ago at Christmas. I was able to do that. I went on it for, a week, and then I went off of it again. And that's not too bad. So the intention is to be off of it really the rest of this year until a week before Christmas, go right back on it, stay off of it for most of next year, because that'll allow me to hopefully lose most of the weight I want to lose at this point. And then I have to figure out a way to have sugar in just small doses in my life. That I haven't figured out yet. That is going to take some real retraining of my brain, basically, because a lot of this, for me, is psychological more than anything else. So it takes a retraining of my brain to basically get to that point. So I'm hopeful. Anyway, I'll be sharing my journey with you. Along the way, I'll give you little updates, whether it's in shorts or long form content. But the goal is, the good news is I have already lost 3 pounds this week. And I'm hoping that I'll average about 4 to 5 pounds a month. I don't have rapid weight loss doing this. And as time goes on, I may, start eliminating some other things from my diet. Right now, I'm allowed to have anything I want as long as it's not sugar, basically anything more than like 5 grams of sugar in it. So anyway, that's what's going on. Hopeful. I'll be sharing my progress with you. If any of you have been able to go off sugar and stay off it for any length of time, please drop a comment below, and Let me know of your experience. I know I did a poll on my community tab, and most of the people said they had not really been able to give up sugar for more than a month. So I'd like to know your experiences with this and whether you feel better physically when you go off of it, or mentally, or how it affects you. So if you would do that, that'd be great. And until next time, be well, keep moving forward. Don't eat the sugar. Bye. Take care.